Okay, this is another reaction video. This is from The World According to Briggs. 10 countries people regret moving to. Well, let's see what this one's about. 10 countries people regret moving to. Please click like, share, and subscribe for them, for World According to Briggs, and like, share, and subscribe for me. I would write down there. I would appreciate it. Let's see what this one's all about.
Have you ever moved to another country and regretted it? It happens.
The only country I've ever lived outside the United States is Bermuda. This was my first memories. I was living there moved there when I was like 2 or 3 and moved away when I was 6.
More often than you think. Most of the time it's people that relocate for work, and of them, polls show about 75% of the time the country isn't the worker's first choice. Like our other videos on this subject, we ran a survey asking people if they had moved to another country in the last decade. What country was it? Do you regret it? And why? And that's what we're looking at today. Now before we get started, I want to help you out so you don't have to type out a weird question. No, I didn't forget a country. Whatever country you think is missing wasn't brought up enough in the survey results. Also, not many people regret moving to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea, and any other country in that vein because not many people moved to those countries.
Yeah, nobody's going to move to Syria, North Korea, Iraq, or anything like that, especially from the United States, especially somebody's watching a video like this. So that's kind of silly to think somebody would actually think about moving there.
In this video, I will list which countries showed up the most in our survey and the reasons most often given. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Canada. That's right, the Great White North shows up at...
Absolutely interesting. People regret moving to Canada. I'm guessing they moved there because of the free health care or everything like that, or the socialized health care. That's my guess.
Number 10. A lot of people move up to Canada. Canada's got some hurdles you gotta jump through to either work there or move there. Become a citizen. That's kind of hard and can take a couple of years, and you might need a lawyer at some point. But yeah, that one, there's some hurdles to get through, but a lot of people still move to Canada for work and different things like that. My very first girlfriend from high school, I was a freshman in high school, she lives there now. I think her husband may have been a Canadian citizen before, but yeah, I've known a few people that move up there, and they all stayed there, so I find this one a little strange. Just from my own personal experience, the people I know that have moved there love the country. But the reasons most often given to why people regret moving there, it was more expensive than they thought it was going to be. And
yeah, that's probably the reason I was thinking, because it was probably way more expensive than people thought it was going to be. I thought another reason they moved there was because of the free health care, socialized medicine, everything like that. But
it was colder than they thought it was going to.
Oh, come on. Colder than you. I mean, that's one thing. If you're complaining about the weather, that's on you, because Canada's going to be a lot colder. It's going to be just colder than the United States. Come on.
To be. Those aren't terrible reasons. I mean, that's not bad. Cold and a little expensive. It's better than like everyone's getting murdered every week. Number 9, the United Kingdom. Now this one had a lot of the same reasons people listed.
Now again, the United Kingdom. I'd love to visit there, but I've never been there before. So.
For Canada, like it's damp, cold, and a lot of gray days.
Although I have I actually saw the Queen before. Queen Elizabeth, when she was alive, she came and visited Bermuda. Saw her there.
They also said it was expensive, and if you wanted to see a doctor, sometimes it was an all-day affair if you could actually get an appointment. United Kingdom has a lot of history and a lot of things to do and see. It's just you're doing them under drizzle and gray skies most of the time. If you get outside...
the weather in the United Kingdom isn't going to be the greatest.
Cities, which a lot of people, when they visit the United Kingdom, they don't do it as often as they should, but that is some beautiful land. Beautiful country.
Yeah, a lot of people go to London when they go there, but there's a lot of outside of London that you can go and see, like up in the northern part of England and some of the countryside, the Midlands, really, really nice areas in the United Kingdom.
Other complaints the people had, that there's not enough work-life balance, which usually you expect to find that in some other countries that are on this list, but I guess, yeah, a lot of people feel they don't have a good enough work-life balance. They said if you're in a management position in the UK, it really sucks. Now, oddly, that one came up a few times. That was like a main thing, that the work-life balance in the United Kingdom sucks. I've never worked in the UK, so I did a little research, and yeah, a lot of things pop up. They say that's a problem. One guy ranted and raved about how they have a tax or a fee you have to pay every month or something for your television. Maybe it's every year. But anyway, he was saying there's a fee. Like if you have a television or something, they want a check from you every single year, every single month.
That makes no sense at all. Why you'd want a fee or a tax for a television? I mean, that's silly.
Something like that, just to own a television. Number 8, Brazil. This one.
Now, Brazil, I can understand a little bit why, because you probably think everything's Rio and sun and fun, but Brazil's not necessarily a great country, a rich country to move to.
It came up a lot, which kind of surprised me because the people I know that have moved down to Brazil, usually it's for like 6 months, 9 months, jiu-jitsu guys and stuff. They do that a lot. You're training jiu-jitsu in Southern California or something like that, and then you go down for 6 months to Brazil to train at one of those places. Anyway.
Yeah, there's Rio.
They all seem to like it, but they all did say the same thing that showed up on the reasons people regretted moving there. It's dangerous. They say there's a lot of crime in the cities, and the cities actually should be avoided, or at least some.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with crime in the cities in Brazil. I know about that.
Some of the bigger ones. I mean, but beautiful people, beautiful beaches. I just guess there's parts of their cities you got to really avoid. But what was funny is it was always an answer like this. The people are great, the women are beautiful, the beaches are great, the food's great, you just might get killed. Number 7, France. Who saw this one?
Now, if you're American moving to France, I haven't done any videos of French, of living in France from an American's perspective, but I got to think the people are a problem.
One coming. France has always seemed like a nice place to live.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the French people like to argue with Americans about what politics and things like that. That's as I understand it.
Live. Everyone always talks about how beautiful the place is and how historic, and they went to the wine country. They all had glowing reviews about most of France. And the one thing that popped up on the reasons they regret it, and I think this comes from a lot of North Americans that move there, is the locals don't like you.
Yeah, the people.
Especially in the cities. That's what everyone was saying. That was actually said quite often. One person said that if a French person is nice to you while you're visiting France or living in France, it's because they work in the hospitality industry like a tour guide, and they're trained to do that. And it's really just an act. They're not your friend. A few other people said that Paris is not like it is in the pictures. It's not that well-maintained.
Yeah, my brother's told me that he's been to Paris before. He said that Paris was really not was a filthy city. And he said the people. Now, look, Walter's World loves Paris, loves France, loves the people, loves everything about France. But I've heard this about France.
Number 6, China. Now, almost all the answers for this one seem to be coming from people from the United States or Canada. And they said that the Chinese people ignore you, like you're a stray dog that's wandering through.
Yeah, I mean, and they're probably easy to spot from a mile away. Now, I know people who have been to China who've actually enjoyed it in China, like visiting it. But as far as living there, I haven't talked to anybody who's ever moved there before.
The street. They just ignore that you're there. One guy said if you ask a Chinese person a simple question and they answer you in Chinese, and it's an answer that maybe should have taken 3 words in English, and they've been droning on with an answer for like 30 seconds, they're not trying to answer you, they're insulting you. One guy said the only time you get a Chinese person to smile at you as an American is when you go into one of their restaurants to buy some food. And he said they're really nice, they seem genuine, he thinks. But the most common theme for people that said they regretted moving to China was they had a hard time fitting in and they didn't feel welcomed.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme, and with France and China is that you're American, you're not really welcome there. They don't treat you very fine. I mean, again, why are you moving there in the first place? If you're moving there for your job or something like that, it's tough.
Number 5.
Yeah, Japan. I've also heard that. I mean, the Japanese people are really, really friendly, but I've also heard that the Japanese really don't like tourists too much.
Japan. Now, as I went through the
my cousin was actually born in Japan, and he actually went back there about a couple of years ago with his girlfriend and his mom. And well, my cousin could probably go to North Korea and have a great time. So. He had a great time in Japan. He was actually born there.
reasons why people regretted moving to Japan, I got the vibe that it was basically people that had all moved to Tokyo. All their reasons seemed to center around things that maybe happened in Tokyo or a major city.
I had a friend who actually moved to Japan, moved back to the United States, but his wife spoke fluent Japanese, and they had a great time in Japan. They thought it was really, really nice. I don't think they lived in Tokyo, though.
City. Smoking in restaurants showed up quite a lot. Apparently that's a big, huge thing, Japan, that everyone just smokes in the restaurants.
Everybody smoked in Germany when I was there, too. But I don't know about Tokyo and Japan. But I guess everybody smokes in the restaurants. So I guess that is what it is.
This is another one that people brought up. There's no work-life balance. If they could get you to work 23 hours a day, 7 days a week, they absolutely would. One guy did mention that it was way worse, let's say 10 years ago, and they started backing off of that a little bit, but the work-life balance still sucks in Japan.
Yeah, the work-life balance is really, really bad in a lot of these countries like the United States and Canada and in Japan, I guess, because, you know, in Europe, they have more time off and more opportunity to spend away from the job, and then and in the United States, it's like, you know, like my job now, I get maybe 2 weeks off, 3 or 4 personal days, and maybe 5 or 6 sick days. That's it. There's not a really good work-life balance.
Other things that people hated, and that's why they regretted it, the squat toilets. I guess that's you got a bad knee, it's kind of hard to squat, I guess. Everything is individually wrapped, showed up a few times. Like if you buy some corn here in the United States, you can get a whole bunch of them, throw them in a bag, go pay for all 5 at the same time, corn on the cob. They said that if you buy it in Japan, each corn on the cob is like individually wrapped. That one I thought was pretty funny. But
that is different, though. That is true.
Work-life balance and the smoking in restaurants seem to be the biggest problems and the biggest reasons people regretted moving to Japan. Number 4, the United States of America. Yes,
and I can see that depending on where you moved. I mean, because let's see what this has to do. Because like I said, if you're moving to, if you think the United States is New York City, California, Chicago, and places like that, then you really need to do some research on that, because the United States is really a melting pot.
a lot of people regretted moving to the United States. And now there was a theme for most of them. They moved here for work, and they all seemed to think there was a lot of opportunity in the United States, which, I mean, if the United States has one thing, it's a lot of opportunity. There were a bunch of reasons why people regretted moving to the United States. Crime and racism showed up an awful lot.
And again, I wonder if the racism, they experienced it, or because people are talking about it. Okay, because people talk about it more than actually experience it in the United States. That's been my. I work with all different races of different people, and get along with every single one, and nobody's ever complained to me about racism. The only time I ever see racism talked about is by the media about certain things, and that's I'm kind of curious about that.
About 100 people left comments on why they regretted moving to the United States, and almost all of them had crime or racism in their reason why they regretted moving to the United States. And that's a shame. I mean, I'm from the United States, obviously, and it's just sucks that, that's what people think when they come here. And I'm sure if you're living in some other country and you find out that when people come to live there or visit, they feel that everyone's rude to them, I'm sure you're a little, sad that that's how they see your country. And of course, if you're one of the rude people, or you're one of the racists in the United States, you're probably just fine with it. Now, to be fair, every country has racism and every country has crime. No one's immune from those things. I just think here in the United States, it's a little more in your face. At least the racism part.
See, again, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know if racism is just what people talk about versus people actually experience. It's hard to say, because like I said, I don't experience a whole lot. I have never experienced a whole lot of racism, and just because I'm I may be white, but I'm also Hispanic. I'm a quarter Hispanic blood in my body. I have a Hispanic surname. Okay, so and I've never really experienced racism, so it's kind of curious to see how people think about it.
Countries with far worse crime than we have. Number Mexico. This one doesn't.
Yeah, Mexico, the cartels. Yeah, I can understand that. Mexico is a dangerous country to live in.
surprise me at all. I've been to Mexico more times than I can remember, and it has some problems. It always has. From how dirty some of the border towns are, like Juarez and Tijuana, to having cops.
Yeah, my parents and I, when we were like 11, 12, my parents took us to Tijuana and instantly regretted it. It was a filthy place. It was, my mom was there to get a certain kind of vanilla extract that she wanted to get, and we got there in and out as fast as humanly possible. It was a disgusting place.
Shake you down for a tail light that isn't really out. Yeah, that happened to me in Rosarito 3 times. And it doesn't help when the cop's telling you, yeah, as your car moves, the light goes on and off, on and off, on and off. And I'm all, yeah, it's called a blinker. That didn't go over well. I think I had to pay an extra $20 for making that comment. A few people I know from high school have moved down to Mexico and they've lived there for years. They all seem to like it, but the most common theme for people that said they regretted moving down there was the crime and how dirty it was. No place is perfect. I mean, it's very, very cheap, so you're going to have some problems. If it didn't have cities that were kind of dirty and you didn't have a lot of crime, it wouldn't be that cheap to live in Mexico. Number 2, Belarus. Who saw this?
Well, I certainly could see Belarus. Belarus is north of Ukraine and west of Russia. Yeah, I can see that.
One coming. I had no idea people were moving to.
I know Belarus, they also had a politician there who won't get out, and there was a lady politician who, supposedly won an election there and got, basically, well, I'm not surprised about Belarus.
But apparently they are, and they hate it. Now, I think a lot of Americans had moved there because that seemed to be the vibe of what was going on in the comment section about this one, that if you're not from Belarus and you're not Russian, they don't want you in Belarus. Even if you're working for a tech company or something like that, they'd prefer if you were a remote worker from another country. They don't like you. I saw one report that said 69% of the people in Belarus disapprove of Americans. Interesting thing, though, that's
again, they don't like Americans in Belarus. I can kind of understand why, but again, it's not a place I would ever think of moving to in any way, shape, or form. If my job said you're moving to Belarus, I'm changing jobs. That's the way it is.
Study found that countries that are struggling economically, like Belarus is and always has been, they have an unfavorable opinion of the United States. Almost every comment had one of 3 things. You better know Russian, be prepared for long, cold months from November through February.
Yeah, that goes without saying. That's probably most of Europe, too.
It's very dark and very cold, and it doesn't cost much to live there, so that's a plus. Overall, I found that one very strange. I never think about Belarus. I don't think I've ever known anyone that's moved there. But according to the respondents in the survey, people do. All right, before we get to number 1, a couple things. 2 countries that almost made the list. Number 12 was Germany, and number 11 was Saudi Arabia.
Interesting. I've done a lot of videos on Germany. And Germany seems like a great country to move to. Saudi Arabia, maybe not so much because, especially if you're a female, but Germany, interesting, because like a lot of people like moving to Germany.
All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Vietnam. This one is kind of
okay. Now I don't know why anybody would want to move to Vietnam if you're an American. I know people who go back there and visit Vietnam because they experienced the Vietnam War, but yeah.
Funny because I know a few people that have moved Vietnam because I used to work at Nike. They have a factory there and they would send Nike employees over there to kind of supervise and, different things like that at the Vietnam plants. Things I heard about Vietnam and things in the comment section kind of line up. Everything there seems to be a fraud. If a taxi driver's not ripping you off, your luggage gets stolen at the airport, they have pickpockets, they like to steal your phones, and the Vietnamese pay far less for everything than you will. It's like a 30% discount on everything if you're a Vietnamese person. It's one of those unspoken rules. Here in the United States, if you're at McDonald's and they tell the person in front of you it's $5, and then you order the same stuff and they tell you it's like $8, you're probably going to have some questions. Well, that's a common practice in Vietnam.
Yeah, look, I don't know why anybody would want to go to Vietnam or move to Vietnam, but, to each their own. But, Vietnam is really just not a place for to move to if you're an American citizen or anybody else. I don't know. I mean, I can't really speak for everybody else, but not really a place I would want to visit or move to.
Also, you got to watch out for the streets. I mean, just crossing it or driving on them. It's all dangerous. Now, there's one other thing that was brought up a lot. The food in Vietnam is amazing, and the food's great. They love it, but there's really not a lot of safety and hygiene going on with the making of your food. That's always great. Waiter brings you your food. You see forehead sweat fall into your food and he still gives it to you. One other thing people brought up a lot were the insects. A lot of people said the insects they have there are pretty much scary. Those are all the reasons people regret moving to Vietnam.
Okay, well, please click like, share. This is 10 countries people regret moving to. I'm not surprised by any of them, even the United States, although I'm kind of curious about that one. But please click like, share, and subscribe for The World According to Briggs. And like, share, and subscribe right down there for me. I would really appreciate it. It really helped me out. 10 countries people regret moving to. Thanks for watching.